So Sarah, welcome.
Thank
you for your time. Thank you for coming and joining us. Why don't you give everybody a little bit of history about yourself, who you are, what you do, what you got going on, and how it relates to the addiction treatment industry and obviously the peer industry.
All right, so I'm Sarah Hornbuckle. I'm married to Michael Hornbuckle. So him and I together, we run the Hornbuckle Foundation. We have 3 kids. They're 11, 12, and 15. So if you can imagine, we are in it. A lot of the skills that I learned as far as motivational interviewing and coaching, I didn't realize how many years actually was from parenting. I'm like, oh, you're all a bunch of kids. I got this. This is what we do, right? We stop aging when we start using. I will have 7 years of sobriety on February 28th. I come from a background of real estate sales and marketing, and I did that for 14 years. And Michael had started the Hornbuckle Foundation. His father died of the disease of addiction when Michael was 16 years old. And so in 2015, Tomas Hernandez from Tribe Recovery Homes was Michael's peer coach.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So so he and Michael started Hornbuckle Foundation. It was called Bobby Hornbuckle Foundation. Okay. So they had a sober living house. That was 7, it'll be 8 years.
Nice.
Yeah, 8 years. So they did that for a little while, and then as Tomas started building his business, Michael was working at Mile High Sober Living Homes and had grew their program, and he was getting really burned out from running sober living homes. So I applaud you guys for everything that you do. But the best days when he came home is he was recovery coaching. And so when he had to sit in the long meetings and talk about, clinical stuff or paperwork or billing, like he would come home and it was the worst day ever. But when he was coaching, it was just so much fun to be married to him. And so he started to kind of get more miserable, more burnt out. And I said, the last thing that I need my heroin addict husband to be is miserable. So I said, what do you think about starting a coaching company? And I'll find somebody, I'll start it, I'll help you, I have a business background, and I'll find somebody to run it for you. And he's like, no, it'll be fine. Well, 2 months later, there was an explosion because typically wives, I don't know if you are experienced with this, we're typically right a lot of the times.
Always right.
And a lot of things, right?
100% of the time, right.
So
you're always right.
I was ahead of the game, 3 months before. And so it was August 5th of 2019 when he split from Mile High Recovery. And then my oldest son ended up threatening to kill himself, like within 2 hours of time. And so I remember that date because it was pretty significant. And in my experience, both in my faith and in recovery, when stuff hits the fan, that means there's some change happening. There's some course correction. There's something ahead, and it's going to be a good thing. And so recovery has taught me that, also like my faith, to not be afraid. And just to go, okay, something's happening, God's doing something. And so 3 weeks later is when we started our scholarship program. I was going to start this and said, this is a way to get clients. Here's how we build your client base. We do fundraisers anyway, we're a nonprofit, but instead, let's go ahead and give it to the people who are doing the sober living work. So you don't have to get burned out. You don't have to go home with them, right? So we can be like the grandparents, the best friends, and do it that way. And so we loved it so much. I loved it so much that I ended up quitting my job. And so at the end in 2019, I was a peer coach as well. And I would call him the godfather of recovery because he's just a genius. So if you ever meet my husband, you'll just love him. But we ended up having 7 women and he had like 10 guys. So we had like 17 people, and I'm still selling real estate, right? So I'm like trying to do all this. And then I realized that very quickly I was significantly unqualified. So I always had these women who were using meth and have lost their children or have been incarcerated, and that is not my story. And so I was like, I think we need somebody else. And so I went to my home group and I talked to a woman that I'd listened to for 2 years. She helped me stay sober, and I said, you ever heard about peer coaching? And so that's kind of how it started. And so now fast forward to 2023, we've scholarshiped over 300 people. We have a team of 15 peer coaches. We get to do so many amazing things and watch people recover. Our success rate is at like 80%. Just because of the partnerships that we create with people and the relationships that we have with people like Elevate and Soffer Scene. Our foundation is really based on the principles of recovery. And so it's God, service, community, but also making amends, reparations. How can we do better? How do we take personal responsibility? And so those are the measures of success, I think, or the attributes of what makes our foundation successful, where we have really good retention, both with clients and also with community partners and relationships, as well as our staff, because we live a life of recovery. We don't require everybody to do 12-step. Obviously, peer coaching, you don't work steps with anybody, but typically we found in our organization that those who work a 12-step program are the ones that last the longest, because you are quick to make amends, you are quick to right the wrongs, you are teachable, and you live that life, and you have a support system of accountability. This month, we opened up a community center.
Nice.
So it was right next door to our offices, and it went up for sale this summer, and I went to my board and I thought I was crazy, but I've done crazier things, right? Because what happened in 2009 when we first started, as far as like grants and community, like you need data. You need 2 years of data to so I wrote 10 grants that I knew I wasn't going to get, just so I could get face to face with somebody that would give me a nice little checklist, because I love checklists. I'm that person, type A. And so I did all of that. And so what we ended up doing is I refinanced my house, and we put $100,000 into the organization to get it started. But here's the thing. What do we know about materials? God gives and God takes away.
Sure.
God is the one that provided that house to me when I was 20 years old, and that has a story in itself. But I just know that anything that is given to me is not mine, that I'm a steward. I'm a steward of the foundation. I'm a steward of my family. I'm a steward of anything that I have. And so if there's an opportunity of going, all right, I need a lot of money and nobody's going to give it to me for 2 years, how are we going to do that? And God's going to go, hey, I'm going to provide for you. And that's what we're going to continue to do. So we've kind of entered into this new area this month, actually. We started a family friends loss support group for people who have lost people to addiction or suicide. So we started that, and it's already really powerful. I actually had to take the day off the next day after our first one because it was so heavy. Yeah. And I often tell people, so I'm a singer-songwriter, so I play locally, professionally, and one of my favorites was we have to open up for ZZ Top.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, you were there? It's so much fun.
That was awesome.
I've been so busy building the business, and that I wanted to be able to incorporate music, but it's really, I can't do everything, right? So you have to pick and choose kind of the seasons that you do. And so this community center has, number one, helping the families, the parents, people who reach out to me, and I didn't have a resource for them. Like Cody's Fresh Start is amazing, but it's really for a lot of parents they're still alive. Their kids are still alive. And so what about when they're gone? So I lost 3 on my block, 3 men, ages 29 to 38 on my block just in this last year. 2 of them are brothers, and so how do I help that person? And so that was getting really heavy over the last 3 years. And so it feels really good to start that support group, and they love it. And then on Thursdays, we're doing youth night now. So my kids, 11, 12, and 15. And I'm seeing their friends on suicide watch.
All at your community center?
Yes.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
It's so cool. I'm so excited.
It's like up and running, it's going.
Yeah.
Cool.
The walls are still kind of bare because we kind of
It's okay, get people in there, just start going.
Interior decorating is not my thing, right? And so my plan is to have the kids. So basically we're doing art night and music night alternately. Okay. So I have Perspectives of Hope. His name is Rob. He comes in, brings all the gear. So piano, bass, electric guitar, acoustic guitar, drums, all of that. And we teach kids. So I get to be there to teach music lessons.
Love that.
And then at the end, we play a song all together as a band.
That is badass.
Yeah. So that's every other week. And it's going to be huge. Cool. And we'll have professional musicians come in once a month, to volunteer and, give some tips and stuff, how to slap at a bass.
You guys did that super quickly. I know I was at your offices, I don't know, maybe 2.5, maybe 3 months ago with Brittany. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, we're thinking about getting this spot next door. We're in talks with it. So boom. And now you're open.
Yeah, get us some info, some brochures, let us to all of our clients, show everyone this is available for you.
Yeah. Well,
available to the community. How does that work?
It is. So we're in Littleton, off of Kipling and Chatfield area. Yep. So it is available to the community. I think one of the things too, and I think you guys might understand, is I have a lot of there's coaches everybody all of a sudden wants to be a youth coach, and I'm I'm trying to build relationships with these parents and really create this safe space, for kids, and so it's still developing. But I just knew my age kids, I knew that they could get started fast. So last week we did vision boards, for the art thing. Very cool. And what was really fun was I went around, I started cutting things out in little words. This one kid that comes, he's holding a lot of pain, and I cut out a picture of a lion, and he's 13, and I was like, this reminds me of you. And he was like, why? you know? And I was like, because they're quiet, but they're wise and they're fierce and they run in packs, you know? And so there's certain things about his life that he had shared with me, you know, as far as like depression or like, you know, considering self-harm and then, you know, getting to a fight last week or something. And I was like, this is a lion. He's like, yeah, don't play with me. I'm like, right. You know, he's like, maybe I am a lion, you know? And then he ended up like right after that sharing a sad story about him losing a friend to suicide last year. And
in doing so, you helped him kind of open up and like,
kind of picture of a lion.
That door and just be like, hey man, like it's
that's really what it is. And I want to stick with the peer because you guys know this industry is limitless.
It is.
We can do whatever we want, say whatever we want. We're here at the Winter Symposium, and it's like I could be a doctor of this, I could do this, I could do that. And my heart is still that peer, is still that peer connection. I have no desire to go be a doctor.
Right.
You
Nor
know?
do I.
Yeah. Like none of that.
Right.
But I will hire one.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will definitely hire one. But for me, it's the connection.
That's
you know,
awesome.
it's sitting,
Absolutely.
you know, with somebody else and being that safe space. My first gig was a funeral for a 5-year-old.
Really?
And then I have probably sang at and spoke at almost 200, I would say, 200 funerals. And I tell people, it was not my ambition to grow up to be a funeral singer. It's not what I aspired to be in life. But even now that people request that I come and I share hope and I sing a song or I'll share about the Hornbuckle Foundation and, you know, and it gives these family members, you know, kind of something to hold on to of their loved one to like live on through us, you know? And so we have these hope funds that are established, you know, in memory. And so to keep us going. And so they're feeling like they're a part of, you know, helping that their kid's life is not in vain, you know, or that their loved one, they're like, he loved recovery so much and you guys had the same heart as him.
Totally.
And so we want to keep doing that. And
That's amazing.
Well, I think it takes a special kind of person. Obviously, being a mother helps with that, right? And I don't know if anyone could take the weight of doing something like that. So I think it speaks to your strength on what you're able to do through your recovery as well.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Thank you. And, you know, you wonder kind of why you were put in the families that you were put in. I was adopted as an infant. My parents were high school sweethearts, a football player and a soccer player, and, you know, open window at night thing happened. And I grew up in this family, and I would watch my mom go to hospitals and hold people's hands while they died, you know, and I'd watch her be the first one to show up, like when somebody needed help, you know. And I remember being in my 20s and I lost my first friend to an overdose and having to talk to that mom, you know, and just being like, and I called my mom and I was like, and there's so many times that I called her through my 20s and I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I do the wrong thing? What, you know, and you have all of these fears. And I think something magical happens when you're 30 and you're like, I'm okay. You know, I'm actually going to say all this. You're like, I don't have that much power, you know, to destroy somebody. And you know what? My mom gave me the biggest piece of advice. And it's something that I talk to my coaches about and my kids about. And when you're in these situations, because this parent loss support group, one of the things, the biggest feedback that I get is that people don't want to talk to them. You know, they feel awkward telling you about how great my 13-year-old is when, oh, sorry, your son killed himself last month, right? And so we don't want to have these conversations. It's hard. And people in recovery, I felt like I found my people when you guys will do the hard with me. You know, like Kyle and I, for example, a couple weeks ago, you know, we had to work out a situation, you know, that was like, how do we come to a good solution? And he was willing to sit in that hard with me, you know, and being like, this is my perspective. Okay, this is mine. And how are we going to do this? That's not normal.
No.
It's not.
And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And I noticed that, like, with my significant other.
Yeah.
When we first started dating, the way I would handle a situation, she would be like,
yeah, we're supposed to fight.
not to like face the problem head on and deal with it. And she's like,
yeah.
Oh, my family just like threw shit under the rug and like that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And I started realizing like there is a significant difference between what we've been taught and what we've gone through, and people on the other side that maybe don't have the same experience.
Yeah. And they have to learn that,
Yeah.
you know, and how do you learn something you don't know is missing?
Yeah.
Right.
Same thing with Michael and I, we got married. He'd respond to something and I'd be like, have you ever dated a grown ass woman before? Like, what is happening right now?
And in doing so, you help that other person grow as well.
Right.
And they learn like, oh, wow, like this is
Right.
how I can go about this situation. This is how I can
Yeah.
handle a tough conversation or an argument or
learning through osmosis.
There's
man.
a lot of strengths.
You have to ebb and flow and learn. Yeah, I mean, that's.
Yeah, conflict resolution.
Yeah.
I remember telling a friend, I said, I took this personality test. It's called 16 personalities. He's like, let me guess, you got all of them?
16.
You know, I was like, no. But it did say that I'm energized by conflict. And not in a bad way. So, and so there's a lot of self-discovery that happens, you know, when you're in recovery.
Mine, you know?
Yeah, and going, oh, that's why I don't mind conflict. Not everybody's like that.
Yeah.
I'm energized by it because I'm a problem solver and I'm like a solutions-oriented person, and like I don't mind sitting there with somebody in that. It's the heavy stuff, and that this was what my mom always reminded me of. She's like, you weep with those who weep, and you rejoice with those who rejoice. That's how you do that, and it's biblical.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it says, and that's even though we're not a faith-based organization, we are faith-based individuals, and you know, and my Savior is Lord Jesus Christ, and all of my wisdom comes from that Bible. People are like, "How did you know how to solve that?" I'm like, Jesus, man, I would be lost without it. Absolutely.
I want to kind of touch on how you are guiding the Hornbuckle Foundation as an organization, because you're doing fantastic work. Obviously, we both work with you. We love working with you. We want to work with you in more of a capacity, and what you're doing with peer coaching is like the gold standard right now. And so like, how are you as the director of this organization shaping what that looks like, not only from like a coaching and continuing education standpoint, but you talked about checklists earlier. And outcomes and measuring. Like, how are you organizing this as the leader of this organization to really continue to like make progress in the field and to develop something that everybody can kind of attest to say, hey, look, this is what we're doing as an industry?
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to my husband. I mean, he is the one, he had all the experience of treatment and detox and all of these experience. And we have different strengths, but he's really the leader of the peer coaching program. Cool. You know, my forte is connection. I'm going to find somebody that's smarter than me and that's wiser than me and that knows how to do this. And then that's how we're going to do this. So when we started, we had to learn. There was it was just me and Michael, you know, with our first 40 clients or something like that. And now we've had, you know, well over almost 1,000. And, but we had to learn what works and what doesn't work. And we had to learn which people are worth listening to, you know, in this industry and who aren't. And so you have to surround yourself with wise counsel. It's one of them. So my husband's supervisor is Allison Harden. And so I call her the godmother of the Hornbuckle Foundation, because when we're trying to figure out ethics and, you know, and policies and things like that, we can policy this thing to death, and then we're a government program, which we don't want to be, right? And so how do we have some structure and accountability without feeling like it's micromanaging? Because I don't know if you know about micromanaging addicts at all, but it doesn't work. I can't do that. I won't do it. You know, absolutely will not. And if somebody needs that more structure and more micromanaging, then they're not a good fit. So I think it starts with the leaders first learning how to do it, you know, and refining those skills. And then, so we all make sure that we get nationally certified through NADAC. So with their code of ethics, and they're continuing. Every supervision, so it's the first of the month, everybody does a supervision. There's 2 different groups right now. And we talk about ethics. We talk about case studies. What do you do here? And we have this like level of phone calls almost. Here's your supervisor. And if that supervisor doesn't know, they're going to talk to him. And we get on 3-way. Hey, how do you think we should handle this? You know, Larry Wall was really helpful with us. You know, he was so calm, right? When you first start and you have your first incident, you know, and you're like, oh my God. And he's like, actually, it's all fine. There is a form for this, you know? And he was just like so calm. Yeah, exactly. And so now you have those things. I think it's funny when new coaches come in and, you know, and you're thinking about all of the years of experience you have and you're like, God, you have no idea yet. This shit gets real. You know? Real quick. One of the things I think I talk to my coaches about accountability. And so accountability has a negative connotation where you go in and your reviews, your employee review, and it's all, you know, this and that. And we focus on professional. Right. Yeah. We focus on professional development for them. What are your goals? So basically we're coaching coaches. Right. You know, What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And how can we help? What grant do I need to apply for to make that happen for you? Second is accountability is a loving act. And so what I did with parenting, you know, with my kids, if I didn't give a fuck, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
I wouldn't ask you
Yeah.
about this. You know, I actually care. I give a shit. And so that's kind of one of our core values. But we had a values day at the beginning of the month. And so kind of bringing everybody together, but about humility and integrity and being accountable to the recovery community as a whole for how we act, how we treat people, how do we handle situations that we are being looked at.
Right.
And so when we bring somebody in and say, this is the standard, you know, we expect you to represent us well, you know, and if you can't, call me. I'll help you. I will help you do that. The second thing is excellence, a standard of excellence. If you are called to do this, there's nothing that's going to stop you from coming and getting more education and make in whatever fire is in you. We want you to operate in your strengths. So there's a book called Strengths-Based Leadership that I have. And so it's something I gave Brittany when she first came on. She was supposed to be an assistant. And I gave her this thing and I was like,
Now she's
still
crushing it.
don't get an assistant. She's a director. Yeah,
she's absolutely crushing
she's
it.
great. And so I finally actually just hired an assissant last week after I've been looking for 3.5 years,
There
you guys.
go.
3.5 years.
Congratulations.
But
Where'd you find this person?
well, she was a front desk lady for the elementary school at my son's school,
Oh,
and
my
she
goodness.
started to look really miserable at her job. And I said,
Hey,
"Hey,
you want a little revamp? You want to do
Yeah.
something a little more meaningful?
been in recovery 20 years."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
She has all this
goodness.
That's great.
experience and
That's
bachelor's
great.
of science. And, her resume is
Literally just
ridiculous,
meant to be.
totally overqualified.
That's so
And I'm
cool.
like, so she's pretty excited. So
That's
she
awesome.
started.
I'm excited for
So
you.
I would say, what is it? Like, we have coaches that will stay with us for a long time.
Right.
It's somebody who can be self-regulated, that has their own support system. It's just like peer coaching. It's just like 12-step. Like, you need to have your support system. You have to have accountability. That's not just us. You need to have a desire for excellence and really care about the work that you're doing. Because if you're not, then you're not a good fit, and that's okay.
Right.
You know, so we're really focusing on, my old boss used to say, quality, quantity, and speed. Pick two, because you can't have all three. And so we
Interesting.
do speed and quality.
Love that.
So we cap off at about 150 clients.
Nice.
We'll have no more than 17 coaches. And then this center that we have to start reaching out to our community.
So if you could only listen to one album while performing an intervention, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, the first song that popped into my head was Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
All right.
Yes, I love this.
All right.
I love that.
So my
That's
husband,
hilarious.
have you met Michael?
Yeah, I've met him in
Calm.
passing with
Right?
with Scott.
He's calm,
Yeah.
introvert. He leaves
Yep.
space. I
Yeah.
call him the ice to my fire.
Yep.
Right? We're great, you know. But when my kids cannot stop crying, or they're having this emotional thing that's happening to them, I'm the hype girl. Get it together. We
Right.
cry later.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We have to do this now. We work
Totally.
now. We cry later. This is it. It doesn't work so well.
Right.
You know, and so I'm like, go see your dad. Go see your dad. I'm done. I can't do this. And then he works his Michael magic, and then all is well. And then I can go be the hype girl when we have to go do what we have to do.
I love it.
So when we started this, that was the problem that I was having when I was coaching these women. And I was like,
Yeah.
like, you are so emotional.
Right.
And it's great. I'm emotional too. I'm a Cancer. I get it. But when you have work to do, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
And so I was not a good fit. But you know what I am? I'm a good director of operations.
Yeah.
I can
Hell
make
yeah.
everybody work, and I'm the hype girl all day long.
Yeah.
But at intervention, I'll be like, this is what will happen. Like, we're going on, a recon. So Marines used to listen to that. Let the bodies hit
That's
the
so
floor
funny.
when they go on
I
reconnaissance
love it.
missions. That's all I could
Let's
think
go.
about. We're doing this shit. You're not dying today. Let's
Oh,
go.
So good.
But that doesn't always work really
You're
well.
right.
So we'll do a 3-way call with like one of our coaches and somebody else, because I can help them get a detox or treatment or whatever, because I got the last name. It's kind of cool now.
Yeah.
Never thought that would happen. And she'll be like, well, what Sarah means to say is, and I'm like, I thought I said that really nice. Right? Like, I'm just really direct. I'm a very direct, and
That's good.
I
That's
love
good.
working with direct people. This is my problem. This
Yeah.
is my issue. I don't get my feelings hurt very easily.
That's
And,
I think we're the same type of people.
That's what I was told that I
Yeah.
need to work on in 2023, and what I'm trying to do with our houses is showing a little more compassion
Empathy.
Yeah,
and empathy, because
yeah.
I'm very let's figure it out, do it,
Yeah.
get it done.
Yeah.
Going
We're
on.
all A types.
You're type
Yeah.
A.
And I'm just like, we gotta fucking go. And I'm like, oh wait.
Yeah.
I'm like, take a step back.
Yeah.
where you like,
Especially like with the whole meeting people where they're at, right?
dude, exactly.
It's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's hard.
So I hired people who meet people.
Exactly.
You know.
Right.
I mean, we have our moments, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We have our
Yeah,
moments,
of
but
course.
it's just not our strength. And so
Right.
that strength-based finder, like that thing, is like, how do you operate in your strength, and how do you see that strength in others? And if
Right.
you're not a good fit for them,
Yep.
you know, find somebody who is a good fit.
But it's good to
Exactly.
recognize that within yourself and also have something to work towards.
Yeah.
And that's what I like that I'm trying to do this year.
Yeah.